allegro of this first movement. So the real movement starts, and before that we had like 3-4 minutes of slow introduction. And the slow introduction comes to this complete stop. And for a 26-year-old, it's unbelievable the arrogance this guy must have had to just freeze the time like this. And he has the pianist play these chords, ta-ta-ram, pom, pom, 2, 3, 4, and then the cello comes playing its stuff. And us as performers, we have to kind of develop the same arrogance and not speed through this rest, because it's as Arnon Kur says, music starts there where the language stops. And then he comes with this also a rather simple tune, but also very beautiful. This the piano continues. That's the piano. And then a highly virtuoso movement starts, especially at the piano. I mean, he has tons of runs and triplets going all over the place. And the cello is kind of struggling to fight against, because it plays the same important role. We have lots of fortissimo, and it's a very long movement. He puts 2 big repeats, and I'm not a huge fan of repeating for too long, but this movement demands it. It goes really crazy. It already feels as if there's this old man with all his problems, turning deaf, and all these things almost seem to be anticipated in that sonata. It reflects like a life full of craziness and suffering, and probably that's why I love this piece, love to play it, and especially this first movement. And I remember the very first time I played the G minor sonata, that was when I also did for the first time all the Beethoven sonatas. And I had learned the last one, the G minor, the last one for me, just a couple of days before the concert by heart. I had played it before, but practiced it before, but not learned by heart. And in the concert, I had to focus so much to keep all the notes together that, especially in that movement, in the first movement of the Opus 5 number 2, I got so carried away, and it felt so strong. It's a very strong piece. We have these this comes so oft. And with a repeat, it comes like 6, 7, 8 times. This angry start of the piano with triplets and us responding. And I hope we played it quite well and strong. So the very end of the movement again comes to a still stand. There's like a little choral. And then the last bars like a and I was so into this incredibly strong and powerful feeling that with the last note, I stood up. I don't know why. I'm not a person of great gesture when playing, but it felt so complete, this first movement, that I stood up to take a bow. But there was no bow to give, because there was a second movement to follow. So I stood there, and I remember it was radio live transmission, and it was in Germany, and the people were very disciplined, so nobody clapped. I just heard this. I sensed them smiling, and I couldn't even cover up like, oh, I had to like sit better. No, I was obviously standing to take a bow, and I probably smiled very stupidly and sat back down to start the next movement. What really separates Beethoven from Haydn and Mozart for me is this anger he carries. So strong contrasts. Already as I said, the movement number 2 and the movement number 1 and 2, we have this sad, deep. What's the word? This I don't know. Zerrissen. Zerrissen means torn apart. Yeah, we have this deep, sad, and torn apart first movement, which really gives us an entrance into a suffering soul. In my opinion, the cello is the instrument which comes the closest to the human voice, and with that we can express emotions incredibly well. That's why it's a favorite of many people as an instrument. It has its limitations, but Beethoven somehow was one of the first major composers to realize the potential of that instrument. And since he carried a lot of anger in him, he used it